Howdy folks, today we're looking at how to paint an Aeldari Farseer, specifically from Iyanden craft world. So if you watched any of my other videos, we've already done the yellow and we've done the blue to start with. So if you are looking to sort of copy the yellow and the blue, I'll link down one of the videos where I've already done it. It's quite a simple process and it won't take long. So here we're doing the pouches and we're using Steel Legion Drab, and for the staff of Farseer we've used the Baden Black on the black bits. Staff here I am using Hexed Lichen Purple from the Vallejo range. It's just a really dark purple that we're going to be using for for the blade bit. Here I'm using Ulvan Grey, and yeah, you've got to thin it down, otherwise it'll be a bit chalky, but I find that it's a lot better than using a pure white and you still get the same effect. Ulvan Grey is just a lot easier to work with, in my opinion anyway, and you still get a white looking grey, I guess. We've applied the transfers obviously already, they're already on the model. Once again, if you watch one of the previous videos, you'll see how you do that. In order to do the transfers, we're using Microsol and Microset. Here I'm just finishing off a couple of bits and bobs with the white, or should I say Ulvan Grey. Doing his belt with Ulvan Grey as well. Quite like this model, but I do find that Eldar models, because they're so small, they're a little bit more tricky to work on. So here we're using Retributor armor, and we're applying that on all the gold parts. Obviously we want to stay with the colour scheme so it matches all of our other bits and bobs in the army. So that's why we're using that specific gold, but you can use a different alternative. But I find Retributor gold has really good coverage and I do enjoy using it. For the gems, we start off the process by applying corn red on all the gems. Once again, you can use other alternatives. For example, from the Vallejo range you could use scarlet red, so any dark red is good. So many gems for Eldar. Using an airbrush, we've used Hexed Lichen Purple from the Vallejo range, and we've added a little bit of white in there. Now we're using the white that we've used already, so we're literally using Ulvan Grey, and we put some thinner into the airbrush and some flow improver. Hexed Lichen, Ulvan Grey, flow improver, and yeah, and we're repeating the same process again, adding more white to the mix that we've already had, and then we're just sort of working our way towards the tip and trying to make the tip lighter. And we're repeating the same process again. We add a little bit more white in there, literally just doing the tip now. I forgot to say as well, the silver bit on the end of the staff, we've used a bright silver. It's just called silver from the Vallejo range. Here we're using Rakarth Flesh, and then over Rakarth Flesh we're using Reikland Flesh Shade to sort of shade all the parts and make those stones look a bit more 3D. Here we're using Mournfang Brown for the little belt that's hanging off, that's got the pouch on it. Just wanted to use a different brown so it's not all the same, just a bit of a variety of colour. It's gonna be quite good. I have used Gulliman Blue Glaze here, and we're using it on all the blue parts. Once again, adding a bit of depth to the model itself. You can skip this step if you don't have Gulliman Blue Glaze, but there are other alternatives which you can use. You can literally get any blue shade that GW does, or any other company. Or there are alternatives where you can use the GW contrast paint. Piece of string, we're using Xandri Dust to do any of the pieces of string that are on our Farseer. So that's at the back as well. Once again, you can just use a different color. You could use I suppose like a Mournfang brown or something if you wanted to, but in my case I decided to use Xandri Dust. Applying some tufts here so it matches with the rest of our army. Now I think I am going to add some more grass on there, but I just haven't decided what type yet. A second stage in our gems is to use Mephiston Red, and we're literally just using that, covering about 40-50% of the gem underneath. After we've used that, we're going to be using Evil Sun Scarlet. So I've gone a little bit quiet on there, but it was meant to be Evil Sun Scarlet. And after Evil Sun Scarlet, we're using Hot Orange game color from the Vallejo range. Now here you're covering just sort of the bottom part of that. The best thing to do is probably open up Google and to have a look at how gems, sort of like look at the diagram of how a gem is meant to look and just follow that. That's literally all I've done. After we've done that, we're using Ulfan Grey to put a little dot in the upper right corner where it basically makes the gem look a lot more 3D. Once again, we can go back to the gems and make them look even more 3D, and I would have done that by using Rhinox Hide, but in this instance I didn't bother, as I've already done 4 different steps on the gems, and I just thought it's just unnecessary to go through so much hassle. Now in my videos I try and get my point across at the fact that we can go back to the model and improve it at any point that we want to. Here I am now using Auric Armor Gold from the Citadel range, and after I've done that I'm going to be using Liberator Gold on sort of the more sharpish edges of that. After we've used Liberator Gold from the GW range, we're going to be using Stormhost Silver on literally just the sharpest corners of the model. Quite a tricky model to work on, I find. Also forgot to mention that when we were using Mephiston Red on the gems, we also did the eyes with Mephiston Red as well. Yeah, I do find Elder models are just tricky to paint. They're not easy. I'm used to painting all sorts of stuff. I'm used to painting Tau and Space Marines and Tyranids, Skaven, Lizardmen, you name it. But actually Eldar models are generally quite tricky to work on, I find. So don't be disheartened if you're struggling to work on them a little bit. It's not easy. one of the other things I forgot to mention was the gloves that our Farseer has. We use Rakarth flesh on those, followed by Reichland flesh shade. On the pouches, we're now highlighting those, and we're using Baneblade Brown from the Citadel range. Now, one of the things that we didn't do in this video was varnishing the model. That's one of the things that I will end up doing at some point, but at the moment it's just too cold and I'm a little bit worried that it will ruin the model. So I would definitely do a matte varnish all over the model using the Vallejo matte varnish, and then after that I would use something like a hard coat from the GW range on the gems to make the gems shiny. Yep, just working here with a Stormhose Silver, like I already mentioned. Sort of jumped the gun there a little bit. Yeah, it's just because I knew what step I was going to do next, so hence the commentary about it. All in all, one of the other things that I think I might end up doing in the near future with this model, once I've got everything to that stage, is probably work on the yellow robes a bit more. I'm not quite happy with the way they turned out, but at the moment we're just leaving them just the way they are, because, you know, we want to get momentum in completing our army. Here we're doing a dry brush of Longbeard Grey over our stone parts, and I think that will pretty much complete our model. This is quite a simple guide on how to do the Farseer. I think it's simple and effective, and if you're doing this particular craft world, I think at least some part of the video will benefit you in the long run. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching the video. Really appreciate it if you got this far. Would be great if you managed to put a like, a comment and a subscribe. That'd be amazing. I know that sounds tacky, but it is what it is. It'd be great to get your support on this. Thank you.